The future, a world where the quest for truth has ended.
Do you believe in the supernatural, Mr. Vandarius?
I'm not enough. Surprise! The Shader will bring hell to Earth for thousands of years. Shock Division, kill them all!
Spirit Blade, a full cast audio drama. Download the Legacy Edition of Spirit Blade for free at spiritblade.com.
Hey guys, Peter Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions, continuing my celebration of UN-E3 2020, and this time I'm going to be reacting to the Escapist Indie Showcase. I just found out about this digital event this morning as I was getting ready to watch PlayStation's event, and I realized just in time I could catch this one too, and I'm so glad that I did. Oh my gosh, there were a ton of games in this showcase. And, you know, the term indie just doesn't mean what it used to. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be something that really looks low budget or is only retro graphics, you know, retro pixelated graphics and stuff. There were some really, really nice looking games and just a ton of them. It was like over 2 hours long. But after we got past the 1 hour mark, about 10 minutes after that, I was like, okay, we're going to end now, right? We're going to end. Part of that is because I was really pressed for time. I had PlayStation stuff to cover today, but oh my gosh. I decided, because there is so much in this video, to first off recommend that you check it out yourself. Just put it on while you're doing something else and get exposed to a ton of games if you want to find some hidden gems that you might not otherwise hear about anywhere else. There were a lot of world premieres in this event, but I'm going to highlight specifically the ones that for whatever reason interest me, and also just to narrow it down a little bit so this video isn't, you know, crazy long and I can get it up. I'm going to feature only games that are also coming to console, no PC exclusives here, with one exception. So the first game that I want to mention is Windbound, and this is coming August 28th. A lot of these games are coming fairly soon. This one is like a looks like a survival game, an open world game where you are playing this girl who is on an island and has to learn to hunt the various animals that are there, gather supplies, and you know, just kind of survive in the environment. And then you're also building this raft that over the course of the game you develop from a mere raft into more of like a proper sailing vessel, and you're going from one island to the next, learning about the new creatures on that, you know, the next island that you go to, and how to hunt them. And it just looks like it's got some really neat variety and a lot of potential to scratch my exploration itch. So yeah, Windbound, that's coming August 28th. The next one that jumped out to me was Black Book. This one is coming in 2020 to PC and consoles. And this one, normally I wouldn't be into this art style. It's just a little bit too plain for me. It's got that kind of, you know, low poly, low texture kind of look that I'm typically not into, but it's got this very dark aesthetic. And it's got like, it's about a sorceress who I think is trying to recover the loved one that she sacrificed. I don't know, it's some weird dark story, but what caught my interest was the aesthetic itself, and then also, blink and you'll miss it, but there is turn-based combat in this game. It's some kind of a fantasy turn-based RPG, with maybe also like a card-based system. I don't know. I had to go back and watch the moment a few times, slowed down to like 1/4 of the normal speed, and I'm still not exactly sure what I saw, but I saw enough to know that I'm interested in seeing more of Black Book. Next up that interested me was Relicta. I've seen a trailer for this game before, saw a little bit more gameplay this time around. This one's coming August 4th, so very soon, and there's actually a demo for it available right now on Steam, but it's also coming to consoles and PC on August 4th. This one was giving me kind of Portal vibes. You're on some kind of a strange planet or strange environment, and you have the ability to manipulate both magnetics and gravity, and you manipulate objects in order to solve environmental puzzles, but it's not just an abstract puzzle game. At least that's not what the trailers give me the impression of. Like Portal, it looks like it's going to have some story to it. In fact, it looks like it's going to be leaning into story more than the Portal games did, even, with lots of voice acting and characters that you're hearing over your intercom, and like some environmental dangers and hazards and stuff that you're going to have to overcome, but it doesn't look like it has any combat either. And so if you're looking for an intense experience that doesn't involve like killing other people, this might be a good option for you. It certainly looks very impressive for a quote unquote indie game, so I definitely have my eye on Relicta. The one PC game I'm making an exception for, just because the premise I thought was really worth talking about, is Fallen Angel. This one has a retro, pixel art graphic style. It's coming to PC in fall of this year, and it's got the tagline at the very end, "God makes no mistakes." Let me actually pull up the Steam page so I can properly represent this game. It says, "Become Lucifer and aim for the throne of heaven itself. Battle angelic armies and ascend through weird and warped holy realms in this stylish hack-and-slash action RPG." Now, I'm a fan of, stylish hack-and-slash action RPGs, but, obviously as a Christian, I have to at least raise an eyebrow at the premise here. Let's see here. Further description of the game reads, "A stylish hack-and-slash action RPG with a sinful twist. Fallen Angel put you in control of Lucifer himself, exiled from heaven eons ago. Now God has gone silent, and the archangels hatch their own plans for the divine realm. Set your sights on the top and brawl your way back into heaven for a reckoning with your creator." Now, I think as Christians, there can be a tendency for a knee-jerk reaction when we see a game like this to say, oh, that's horrible, and stuff like, kind of get all angry or whatever, But I think seeing a game like this being made is really an opportunity to reflect and think about, well, what kind of, if not the developer themselves, what kind of trends in our thinking, in human thinking, lead to either coming up with a premise like this or feeling drawn to an experience like this. You notice that the depiction of angels and God is has them morally flawed. And I think when we are hurt, when we're disappointed with life, we can start entertaining thoughts of, why did God allow this to happen? Isn't God supposed to be good? Maybe he's not good. Or maybe he's not all-powerful. Maybe he's limited or morally flawed in some way. Maybe the angels are too. And so we can start entertaining these ideas of a flawed God and angels in heaven that themselves are flawed and corrupt in some way, And so I think that, seeing a game like this should just remind us of the people that are hurting in the world, and not this. I'm not making any broad statements that that has to be where you're coming from if you develop a game like this. It has to be where you're at mentally and emotionally if you enjoy playing a game like this. I'm not trying to make any broad statements like that. All I'm saying is that the fact that stories like this exist and that people are willing to entertain them says to me that it's connecting with some people on some level. And maybe they don't even realize themselves why they're connecting with it. But I think that it presents some ideas that are worth thinking about, and certainly not, reacting in a huff about, but to react instead with grace and compassion for the people in our lives that maybe are hurt and maybe are questioning the goodness of God, as you and I can do when we are in the middle of the crap storm of life. All right, so let's see here. Everspace II was the next game that really got my attention. Let me also jump to the Steam page on this one to tell you why I'm interested in it. Actually, no, this is the website for the game, Everspace.com. It reads, Everspace II is a fast-paced, single-player space shooter with deep exploration, tons of loot, and classic RPG elements. Experience a thrilling story set in a vivid, handcrafted open world full of secrets and perils on your journey to become human after all. Now, I looked at the description for Everspace 1, and it doesn't have those descriptions of like loot and RPG elements, and so it looks like this is they're kind of taking the game in a slightly different direction, and anything that says like RPG type stuff is really going to get my attention. And so for that reason, reason alone, I'm interested. I mean, like, I liked, what was the game called? Inferno. A really, like an independent game, Inferno, and Inferno 2 was like a top-down space shooter action RPG. And so if you want to combine, flying ships, fighter ships in space, blasting away enemies and, going through, maneuvering through environments, and you want to make that an RPG, I'm really interested, because that's probably the only way I'm going to be able to play a game like that, is if they let me lean on RPG mechanics. Okay, now this one. Dread Machine, coming to PC and Xbox One this summer. I'm a little sad that it's not coming to PlayStation 4, although, to be honest, I probably wouldn't play it at the end of the day, because I would probably be terrible at it. But it takes inspiration from shooters like Contra in terms of its mechanics, but the premise is so interesting. It basically tries to create what a video game like Contra would look like if it would have been made in the early 1900s, where there were no video games, there was no video, but you did have, little devices that people would entertain themselves with at carnivals that had mechanical parts in them and stuff. And so the characters that you're controlling are moving around in these pre-created grooves on kind of a board of some kind. And all the enemies that pop up are mechanical representations of your enemies and stuff. And I mean, if you haven't, just see the trailer. If you're listening to the podcast version of this, you've just got to go to dreadmachine.com or do a search for the trailer on YouTube to see what it is that I'm talking about here, because it really is a unique looking aesthetic, and that alone, even though I would probably be terrible at the gameplay, has me very interested. So hopefully it will come to PlayStation 4 at some point. At the very least, I'll be keeping my eye on it, watching reviews, and seeing if potentially it could be my type of game if it came to PS4. But again, that's Dread Machine. And then the last game that jumped out to me was Disjunction. Over at disjunction-game.com, it reads, Disjunction is an upcoming cyberpunk stealth action RPG set in a dystopian New York City in the year 2048. So cyberpunk is really big. I saw several cyberpunk games in this digital event alone. The game follows the interconnected narratives of three characters as they unravel a mystery that will change the fate of their city. So you can download the demo right on their site at disjunction-game.com. And again, it's coming summer 2020, but I like some stealth games, as long as I'm not forced to only do stealth and have a bunch of insta-fail stuff going on. But if you give me the Ubisoft option of doing stealth as long as I can and then guns blazing, which it looks like this game is going to allow players to do, then I'm interested. And if you want to put that in a sci-fi cyberpunk environment, my gosh, I don't think Ubisoft is going to be doing that anytime soon, so I'd love to see what Disjunction is like. So that's it, man. But man, it's criminal. It's criminal how many games I didn't mention. There were a bunch of PC games that I was like, oh man, that looks cool. Oh, that looks cool, But I had to limit it down just so I would have time to get this video out. But if you want more gameplay or information about any of these games, you can go to the Escapist YouTube channel, and from June 12th through June 14th, they're going to be putting up extended gameplay videos. I don't know if it's going to be all the games that were featured in their event, but many of them is my impression, June 12th to the 14th. So yeah, oh my gosh. Now what do we got left? We got the Guerrilla Indie Showcase. We got like a weekend coming up of indie video games, and then we've got the PC Gaming Show, and probably some other things that I have forgotten. There's a bunch more coming. So I am going to continue being busy this whole weekend and hopefully giving you my reactions as quickly as I can. I hope you will come back for that. Be sure to click the bell after subscribing so that you don't miss any videos that are coming up. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
The future, a world where the quest for truth has ended.
Do you believe in the supernatural, Mr. Vendarius?
Surprise! The shader will bring hell to Earth for thousands of years. Shot division, kill them all!
Spirit Blade, a full cast audio drama. Download the Legacy Edition of Spirit Blade for free at spiritblade.com.